3 minutes to get started. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and get started. So I guess it looks like there's only 2 of you in here. Let's just make this an open forum. As far as questions go to begin with, do you guys have any questions as it pertains to inspections?
Yeah, I've never done one. So I guess like for me, just ground up from that, like what like timelines and then just everything.
Okay.
And I
So
guess
go ahead, Dee.
and I guess my questions would be while you're doing that, maybe just go ahead and explain my side, because my side would be we've already started inspections, but like, is there an extension? Like, can you have a time frame before due diligence starts for inspections that would work, that a seller would agree to? Because I tried to do that and it wasn't agreed to. And then like, when should they be paid for, and at what point, when this inspections are completed, what's the timeline from like when there's an issue to when like an appraisal needs to be done, depending on based on the loan type?
Okay. So I guess we'll start from the beginning. When you go under contract and you have an inspection period, let's say today is the 5th, right? It's Thursday the 5th. So let's say we get an executed contract today. And when I say executed contract, I mean that everyone has received it. So if you're on the buy side, that means that you have received the contract back and everything is officially signed. That starts your day of execution. If you go ahead.
Does that mean when you say everybody has signed, like I noticed when we went under contract, I had to send it back to the seller after they sent it to us for something. So is that like after it's all signed and we send it back to them, or just when we receive it?
So if let's say the seller missed an initial somewhere and you said, hey, you've missed initial here on page 4, and you send it back to them,
Right.
until they initial it and send it back to you, you are not officially executed. So the
Okay.
timer starts when you get it back.
Okay. Okay.
Now, had your buyer signed, let's say that the seller initialed some items and sent it back to you and said, hey, your buyer needs to initial A, B, and C. And then your buyer initials and you send it back to them and they receive it, then now we are starting it from when they received it, because that was the last initial that needed to be done. It's whenever you get the last signature or initial and the other party receives it back. That's when your time clock starts.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So for instance, today's the 5th. We're going to say there's a 10-day inspection period. So starting from the 5th, right? Because today's the executed date. You go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, the 15th is a Sunday. So it's going to automatically revert to the next business day, which is Monday, the 16th. If Monday were a holiday, let's say Martin Luther King Day fell on Monday, then it's going to roll to the very next day, which would be Tuesday, the 17th. So business days are only accounted for the end of the inspection period. So when your inspection period begins, it's always calendar days, but the day that it ends has to be a business, like an official business day. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And it expires at 5 p.m. that day. So, as far as getting negotiations done, Sarah, when you were talking, it kind of cut out a little bit, but I think you were also asking about negotiations too. I know Dee was. If you're negotiating back and forth, and let's say we're going to fast forward here, right? We went under contract today on the 5th. Now today is the 16th, and we have until 5 p.m. to get a negotiated deal on the repairs from the inspection report. If you are getting close to 5 p.m. and you have not come up with some sort of agreement where everyone has signed an ICR, which is an inspection contingency release form, or an addendum stating what repairs need to be done, then you would want to either sign an extension for the inspection period for however many days, or send a release and cancellation from your buyers signed that they want to be released from the contract and get it to the listing agent before 5 p.m. to save your buyer's escrow for being kept. Does everybody understand that? And does anybody have any questions around that?
I do.
Okay, what question do you have?
When it comes to the release form, when you say sign a cancellation and release form so their escrow's not held, is that because we can't come to a resolution by 5 p.m.? Or is that because they're backing out of the contract?
Well, you have two options. If you cannot get things negotiated in a specific period of time, right? Let's say there's an issue with the roof, and now you have to call a roofer out to check the roof, and they can't get there by today at 5 p.m. You're going to need an extension. So what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, Mr. or Miss Listing Agent, we need to do an extension to the inspection period because it's supposed to cancel today at 5 p.m. My buyers are still interested in moving forward. They don't want to cancel the deal, but we need to get an extension signed before 5 p.m. If the listing agent says, well, they're not going to sign an extension, then I would say, well, again, my buyers don't want to back out, but it sounds like you're painting us into a corner. So I'm going to send you over a release and cancellation, and we'll just cancel the deal. Call their bluff and see what happens. Because
Okay, I get it now.
if
Okay.
you don't send the release and cancellation before 5 o'clock, then that means that your buyers have not asked to be removed from the contract, and their escrow goes hard at 5:01 p.m. So in order to save that escrow, you want to make sure that you send them that release and cancellation no later than 4:58 if you can prove that it was sent before 5 o'clock, right?
Okay.
Sarah, do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, like I said, your phone kind of cut out earlier. What was there a specific question you had that I haven't hit the topic yet?
No, I just wanted to be here just for kind of everything because like I said, I haven't done an inspection yet. So
Okay. Perfect. So we're going to dive into the inspections now, right? So this is what I tell my buyers, and Dee, you know this firsthand because I've said it in front of you, in front of Chris before. So you've heard this spiel, but Sarah and Pam, I think I've said this to you as well, but when I'm with a buyer, let's say it might even be the first time I've ever met them at the very first house, and we're just going through the process of how things would work, and I'm explaining it to them, I tell them that if you were to go under contract on a home, we're going to do a full home inspection as well as a termite inspection. And if there's a septic tank, we're also going to do a septic inspection. I do not give them the option of saying, well, I would recommend we do this and we recommend we do that. I don't give them that option. I tell them straight up, and Pam, you bought a house with me before, you know that. This is what we're going to do, because it is super important that they understand that it is always the buyer's responsibility when it comes to inspections. And it is never worth cutting out a $75 WDO inspection when there could be termites, or even a $300 septic inspection when there could be a bad drain field that would cost you $6,500 to replace, right? So I don't give them that option. And I tell them that we're going to look at the major fives, okay? And y'all might even want to write this down, Dee and Sarah, Pam, I know you know this, but I tell them we're going to go after the major fives, right? So if we do inspections and any one of these five come back, which would be roof, electrical, AC, plumbing, or termites, then we're going to go after the seller to fix that, okay? So major fives, I'll type it in the chat. Roof, electrical, AC, plumbing, termites. If there's a pool, then we would add the pool in there. So it'd be a major 6, right? So if there's any major defect in the house, it is always going to get pushed back on the seller to fix those, because no one in their right mind is going to purchase a house with major defects in it if it's a normal buying situation. Now, if you are an investor like Chris D, that is just looking for an investment property, and maybe they're paying cash and they're getting the house for a deep discount, and they understand that it's an as-is house, that there will be no repairs, that's one thing. But when you're talking about a family that needs to purchase this home to live in it, and they need to get financing secured, those are going to be major items that if you can't get them fixed, they probably won't be able to get financed, because you can't get insurance on that house. And if you can't get insurance, a lender isn't going to lend money. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have all the leverage, right? Remember that. As a buyer, you have all the leverage when it comes to inspections, as long as it's a reasonable request. And when I say reasonable, I mean a major item or something that could cause them not to get insurance. That might not be what I would call major, right? Like, let's say, for instance, on a water heater, you have what's called a blow-off valve, okay? If you don't know what that is, maybe Google it and you can see what a blow-off valve is on a water heater. If you're going to get a loan on that property, that blow-off valve has to be piped either all the way towards the ground, no more than 6 inches off the ground, or it's going to have to be piped outside, unless the water heater is a tankless water heater in the first place. Okay? Insurance will flag that and state on the 4-point that that needs to be remediated. It's only a $5 fix, super simple, but it is an item that is going to get flagged on an inspection report. Okay?
Okay.
Now, me and Brittany, she just logged in, literally just had a conversation on inspections as it pertains to a mobile home. What I would highly recommend for y'all to do is, if you have any buyer looking at a mobile home, since you're more new at this, I would really prefer you to call me or Sam before you put an offer on that property, because mobile homes have a lot of red tape and hoops that you have to jump through. Oh, Sarah, you got your hand up?
Yeah, what about vacant land for a mobile home?
So if it's vacant land, there's not too many inspections you're going to have to do. And most of the time, your buyer is either going to do a vacant land loan, putting down a minimum of 10 to 15% or more. So more than likely, there would be no real inspections other than making sure it's not in a flood zone.
Okay, what about one with like a existing structure that's inhabitable?
So that would have to be a cash purchase only.
Okay,
If there is a dwelling on it, that dwelling would have to be livable condition in order to get financing for it.
okay, even if their plan is to just tear it down?
Correct.
Okay,
Now, you might could find a different lender, like a creative lender that might could do something there. But more than likely, that lender is going to charge more points, meaning their interest rate is going to be higher, and they're probably going to have to put a lot more money down to do that.
okay. And do you know a lender that would do that? Because like I'm working with someone right now that's trying to do that, and like they know that the structure would have to be completely demolished. And they're meeting with their bank on Thursday of next week.
You know, I honestly don't know. Outside of a hard money lender, I don't know too many lenders that would lend on that, because it's not vacant land, but yet it's not really an inhabitable house. So that kind of puts it in a weird position.
Okay.
And hard money
So they
lenders
would
are going to
be-
charge you probably double-digit interest rates. So you're probably talking in the 10s, 11s, or 12s.
Okay. So they would more than likely need to just like sell the house that they're in now before trying to do anything so that they have the cash to buy it.
Yep. And then pay cash for the land, tear down the existing structure, and then they could finance a mobile home through the mobile home manufacturing company.
Okay.
So when it comes to mobile homes, that will be another topic for another day, because inspections on that are crazy. For now, call me or Sam before you do anything with a mobile home. Please, 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 because they can get you in a lot of trouble with your buyer. And what I mean by that, and I just told Brittany this on the phone, is your buyer needs to realize that they could spend upwards of $2,000 or more in just inspections for that mobile home. So if they don't know what they're getting into and they spend $2,000 on inspections and they can't even finance the home because it's not financeable, they're probably going to be a little bit upset with you because you just lit their money on fire. Does that make sense? So we want to make sure they're aware of that. Now, again, when it comes to inspections, we're looking for those major fives, something that is going to throw off any sort of insurability on the house. Those are the type of requests we want to go after. And what I want y'all to start doing is once you get to that point, let's say, and I prepare the buyer for this, I tell them this as well. Okay, we'll role play this for a second. D, you're going to be the buyer.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to be the agent. So D, I just want to let you know, right? We're going to do a full home inspection on this house, as well as a WDO, which is a termite report, and a septic inspection. Okay. Once all of those items come back, we're going to review them together and go through them to ensure that we're both on the same page as to what we're going to ask for to be fixed. Now, again, we're going to look for more major items, right? So that's going to be your major fives, which would be your roof, electrical, AC, plumbing, and termites. We're not going to worry about a ticky-tack item like a cracked caulk joint or maybe a small gouge in the wall or something of that nature, because the home is not new and it's been lived in, right? So we want to go after things that are going to affect the insurability of the home. We're not so worried about the ticky-tack items, okay?
Okay. What
That
if
is a-
my loan is a VA loan? Am I gonna have any issues with anything else on our inspection?
Well, this is something that y'all should write down. If it's a VA loan, you always, there's no way around it, have to do a WDO inspection. Even if the buyer doesn't want to do a WDO inspection, it is a requirement for the VA that you have to do it. And it's going to be on the buyer's expense. Okay. If
Okay.
they find any wood rot whatsoever on that WDO report, right? And I want y'all to understand this. A WDO report is a wood destroying organism. So if anyone ever asks you, well, what is a WDO? Well, that's a wood destroying organism. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean a termite, right? It could be wood rot from water penetrating a piece of fascia or soffit or anything like a door trim piece on an exterior door, right? Any of the sort is going to be labeled as they found a WDO, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have termites. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you're going to have to send that WDO report to the VA. So whoever the VA lender is, you have to send that report to them, as well as the paid invoice showing that it's been paid. If you do not send the paid invoice, they will not close the loan, period.
They will not close the loan?
No, if they don't have the paid receipt showing that the invoice has been paid, they will not close the loan.
Sorry, writing notes.
No
Okay.
worries. So the first thing I do on VA, the minute I get the WDO report, if they don't send the paid receipt, I reply to them and say, hey, can you please send me the paid receipt, a copy of it? The minute they send it, I send both to the lender that day so I don't forget. Because what you don't want to do is get close to the closing table and find out you haven't sent it, and now they have to run it through underwriting and it delay your closing for a piece of paper.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
Got
Now, again, if there's any wood rot on there, they're going to want it to be fixed. So you're going to have to type up some sort of repair addendum stating that it's going to be fixed. What I would like you guys to use as it pertains to repairs is an ICR document. We have them, right? If you need one, Alicia can send it. It's an ICR. Inspection Contingency Release Form. I might have spelled that wrong. I don't know. that ICR is the better document to use. And I'll tell you why. If you type it on an addendum to the contract, that addendum supersedes the contract, and everyone involved has to have a copy of it, including the lender, right? So sometimes things might get a little sideways if you type up all these repairs to be done and it's on an addendum that the lender is going to be looking for a copy of that. The ICR, the lender never sees because it's not part of the contract. Does everybody understand that?
Hold on, I was writing notes. So the addendum exceeds the loan contract?
Whatever your as-is contract is, if you type an addendum, that addendum, whatever it states on that addendum, trumps the contract. It supersedes it.
Okay.
That's why we don't want to put inspections, or I'm sorry, repairs on that addendum, because if the lender's getting that, then that could open up a can of worms, right? Even if it's a simple repair, they're like, hey, I see on here that you put X, Y, and Z. That's an addendum to the contract. We have to have visual evidence and pictures showing that all this has been fixed and cleared up before we can close the loan now, because you put it on an addendum, not an ICR.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it now. Okay.
Same with your inspection reports. Everybody on this call, Pam, you already know this. Brittany, I don't know. But if you don't listen to anything else on this whole call, please listen to this one blurb I'm going to say. Never, ever, 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 I could say it for 10 minutes long. Never, ever, ever send the inspection report to the lender. Don't ever do it. If you do that, I am telling you right now, you are going to torpedo your entire deal, and you've got about a 1 in 10 chance it's going to close if there's issues on that inspection report and you send it to the lender, because they are going to nitpick it and want every single thing fixed, period.
I have a question.
Okay?
What if our client sends it to the lender and we're unaware?
Make sure you tell them the same thing. I tell them that more times than I can count, and some of them have still not listened and they've done it. And we literally had to change the lending to close the loan. We had to switch lenders. But make sure you tell them to never, ever, ever send an inspection report to their lender. Furthermore, the only report they ever need to send, ever, to anyone is the insurance company, and it needs to only be the 4-point and wind mit. That's it.
4-point and the WOD?
Nope. Wind mitigation
Oh, the wind litigation.
and 4-point.
And 4-point.
Those are the only two that you ever send to any insurance company. Pam can speak on that because she used to work for Geico. She knows firsthand. So never send any reports of any sort to anyone unless you absolutely have to, right? If it's VA, then you have to send the WDO. There's no way around it because it's part of their chain of command. But outside of the WDO, that lender should never receive any other reports.
Okay.
Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions up to now on any of the things we've discussed?
No.
Okay. Sarah, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Brittany, you got anything extra for me? I know we just talked about this, but
No, I just wanted to say I did know that. Don't send those things to the lender.
yeah, trust me, it's happened to all of us. We've all experienced that, and it is hell trying to get out of. Once that domino has fallen, it's not a good look after that. Trust me, I've dealt with it personally, and it sucks.
Yeah, because like if our client gets a different lender than the one we've sent them, like that's happened in both my situations recently, and it's like you try to reach out to their lender, and their lender is like asking for all this information. And in the back of my head, when you said that, I was like, I wonder if they ask our client for like a report or anything, if we should say anything.
Well, some lenders do because they're sneaky, but if you've guided your client right, they know not to send it.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
again, I know you are newer agents. If you ever have a question, please do not hesitate to reach out before you put yourself in a bad situation. I want you to understand something. There are two major things that will affect you when it comes to your license. Okay. One is the contract. Two is the inspections, because you are the licensed agent, the licensed professional, right? That contract, whatever you put on that contract, if you mistype something or don't put it on there the right way, it's going to fall back on you. Same with inspections, right? If something happens, let's say you just tell a buyer, oh, no, you don't have to do inspections. It's no big deal, right? The house is brand new. I wouldn't do it. Well, let's say 6 months goes by and they call you and say, well, so-and-so, you told me that I didn't need to do inspections. And now there's a major issue with this house and I'm going to sue you. You better dang well have a piece of paper somewhere stating that they signed some sort of document saying that they did not want to have inspections done and that they were refusing inspections, or you could be liable.
Oh, okay.
All right.
What if they want to do the inspection themselves? They sign that same form?
If you ever have anyone push back on an inspection, make sure that they sign some sort of release document, which again, Alicia would have, stating that they are releasing themselves from doing the inspection and that they are signing off on it. That is your CYA, because then 6 months or a year later, if something pops up and they try to come after you, you can say, see this paper right here that you signed and dated on this date that said you are waiving your right to the inspection? Right here, homeboy, homegirl. Good luck trying to sue me now, because I have it in documentation that you waive the right to do it. And it is the buyer's responsibility, just like I told you before, right? Buyers can be liars, so can sellers. If something goes wrong, they are always going to want to point the finger at everybody around them. And since you are the quarterback of the deal, you are target number one.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
it's just better to always cover your bases. Okay.
Okay.
Now, something else I want you to be aware of as it pertains to VA and even FHA. If the home is on a well, you are going to have to get a well inspection. Okay. That well inspection, there is a company in Winter Haven. I'm trying to think. I think they're in Orlando as well. And their name has just slipped my mind. Of course, as soon as I go to say their name, it slips right out of my head because I'm getting old and can't remember things. God, what is the name of
Happens
that?
to the best of us.
Benchmark.
Benchmark. Okay.
Benchmark. That's it. Okay. Benchmark. I'm going to type that in the chat box.
Benchmark.
I don't know if it's one word or two,
Okay.
but Sarah, you got your hand up?
Yeah, what about septic tanks? Is that like just in a regular inspection or is that like something special?
That would be a separate inspection. So anytime there is a septic tank on the property, you want to make sure your buyer gets a septic inspection. If they refuse to do it, because it can be expensive. I've seen them as expensive as $600. They're normally around $350 to $450, but I've seen them as high as $650. But what your buyer needs to understand is even if they spend $650, if that drain field is bad, because 9 times out of 10, it's not the septic that goes bad, it's the drain field, you're going to make the seller rip it up and replace it, which is about $6,500. So unless they want to take the risk of spending $6,500, it's in their best interest to get it pumped out and inspected so that they know everything is copacetic and they have a freshly pumped septic that they won't have to worry about for a minimum of 3 years. And again, if they push back and say, well, we don't want to do it. Okay, Mr. or Miss Buyer, I need you to sign this document right here saying that you are refusing to have a septic inspection done, signed right here, so that I have it for my records because my broker requires it. It is a broker requirement. That's all you need to tell them.
Okay, and then
requirement.
if they refuse to do the well, because the people looking at the vacant land with the inhabitable structure, it has a septic and a well.
Yep. Now, if they're buying just vacant land that already has the stuff on there, they don't have to do that, right? This is going to be for FHA or VA loans. If it's on a well,
Okay.
FHA and VA is going to require that you do a well water test. Now, if you want to do it yourself, you can, but you got to make sure you do it the right way. So it's better just to tell the buyer that they're going to have to hire Benchmark to drive out there and get a water test and run the test. I would highly recommend that you do that ASAP because that test could take up to a couple of weeks to get back, right? So again, when it comes to closing time, if you haven't done a well water test and the lender says, hey, we just noticed in our file when the underwriter looked at it that the well water test is missing. We need to get that report. And you haven't done it. Now you're in trouble because I can guarantee you ain't closing for 2 weeks until that report comes back. Does that make sense to everybody?
That makes sense.
It's probably going to cost in the neighborhood of another $150 for that well water test.
Okay, so that I get this right, the well water test by itself could range $150 and the septics can run 300 to 650.
I'm typing it right here in the text.
Okay.
Full home inspection, roughly 500. WDO, roughly 100. Engineering report. This again is only for mobile homes. But again, we're not going to get deep into mobile homes today because that could be its own training in itself, which we could do another time. But if you ever want to put an offer on a mobile home, call me or Sam first before you do anything.
Got it.
Engineering report could be $1,200. Right? So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Think about if you add all this stuff up and you're sitting at over $2,000 in inspections and you don't disclose that to your buyer and then you get under contract and they find this out. And then let's say that the house doesn't check the boxes to even be financeable, which you would have probably known that already, but you didn't tell them. They're going to be pretty pissed off with you when they just lit $2,000 on fire that they're never getting back, right? They might lose their trust in you and completely drop you as an agent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the more upfront you can be with them and the more open you can be with them on these costs, the better off you're going to be in the long run. Because again, if they get upset, go right back to the conversation and say, hey, Sarah, remember, we had this conversation and I told you, maybe even type it in a text and send it to them in a text, right? That X, Y, and Z are going to cost all this money. So I warned you up front that you might spend all this and that we don't know that you're getting the house. So unless you're 100% that you want to move forward, then I suggest we might look at other options first. So, Brittany, you got your hand up?
Yeah, what about pool inspections? How much are those running? Obviously, I assume that you'll need it for any financing deals and all that.
Actually, you don't ever need a pool inspection, but it would be in your buyer's best interest to get one done. And you would want to hire a pool company, and they're probably going to charge you about $200. That's what I put in there, pool inspection. Okay. Now, your home inspection, they're going to look at the pool pump and ensure that it's working properly to a certain extent, as well as the pool heater, right? But again, that home inspector is not a pool inspector. So his, I guess, visual inspection, right, is going to be pretty simple and basic. It's not going to be an in-depth pool inspection like an actual pool company would come in and look at as it pertains to the pool itself. Does everybody understand that?
So it just verifies that the pool's structurally sound, right?
Yeah, that inspector for the home is going to make sure the pool pump works, right? He's going to go turn it on, or if it's running, he's going to make sure it's functioning to its capacity. And if there's a heater, he's going to turn the heater on to make sure the heater at least turns on. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be heating, because he might not know that.
Okay.
But that's going to be about the gist of his inspection, and any pipes that are sticking up, making sure they're not leaking or busted gauges or something like that. But he's not going to do a deep dive into the pool and actually make sure that everything is functioning 100%.
Okay.
Brittany, what's up?
Sorry, I just had another question pertaining to that, because in my house, I have a solar panel that heats my pool. So that would be a solar panel company that would be inspecting that rather than the pool
Nope.
company?
Those solar heaters are pretty common. Now, the pool company could get on the roof and look at it to make sure it's not leaking, and they could probably run a test to make sure that it's functioning. But most of those solar heaters, you know, it just stores the water on the roof. It's not like a solar panel grid for electrical. It's a different concept. Think of it like taking a water hose and wrapping it back and forth over and over again and storing water up on your roof so that the sun heats it. That's the concept of those solar panels that you see for a pool heater. They're not really using electric as much as they are just for storing water. Now, another thing about a pool is if it's like an actual concrete in-ground pool, you got to make sure that if it's pitting, meaning that the marsite on the bottom of the pool, if that looks like it's coming up like little potholes on the bottom, then that means that it's probably going to have to be resurfaced in the near future. To resurface a pool is probably going to cost you in the ballpark of $6,500 or more.
Do you have
Uh-huh.
any recommendations for pool resurfacing companies? Because I do need one of those myself as well.
Um, if you're local in Winter Haven, I have used Mannix in the past. They did a good job for me. Now, I don't know how far out they are, but they did my resurface and they did a great job for my house that I had a few years ago. But that's really the only one that I know of that I could speak for. Pam, do you have any recommendations for that?
No, Mannix was good. I think we used Griffin before with one of my other buyers, but that was just one time. We didn't have any issue, and it was something minor that needed to be repaired, and they agreed just something minor. I think it was like $3,500 what they did.
Okay.
But yeah, Mannix I think is the one I hear of the most.
Yeah. Sarah put Pinch a Penny, so maybe check into them. Griffin just built my new pool at my new house, and we were very happy with it. But Griffin sold out, I want to say roughly less than a year ago. So I don't know the people that resurfaced that you dealt with. It's a new owner now, and I don't know if they
Right.
truly do that anymore. They
Yeah.
may, but I don't know.
Yeah, mine was over a year ago for sure.
Okay. And I'm not knocking them. They did a good job on our pool, but I mean, it was expensive. My God. I mean, pools, I don't know if y'all have priced the pool lately, but I think it cost me $110,000 for our pool.
Shush. That's a lot.
Was that to build the pool, like to install it and everything?
That was all in. Now, I will say we went a little overboard, right? So we did a 15 by 30 with a 6-foot sun shelf, and it's got a huge, I don't know, almost a 2-foot stacked stone wall on the back of it with 3 water fountains coming out of it, and it's got all the bubblers and LED lights, and you can run everything from your phone, and it's got a heater / chiller. It's top of the line, and we did, I don't know, 1,800 square feet of pavers around it. So it's a big area, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah, I just had a client that got a quote the other day for one in Bartow, and I think he got it at Mannix, and it was 65,000 for a cage in the pool, and it was nothing fancy. It was just, what is it, like a foot on one side,
Yeah,
on the far side. So yeah, nothing fancy at all.
we did the Pebble Tech and everything, and we've got the lounge chairs that float in the sun shelf or sit on the sun shelf, and the umbrella holders. And I mean, we went all out, but this is my forever home, so I wasn't going to cut corners. We didn't do a pool cage, but I mean, we're happy with it. It's nice, but it was a lot of money. So, I don't really know much more to discuss on this topic today. Again, we're going to be doing these pop-up trainings that we wanted to start doing more frequently for y'all, because we know that that was something that y'all really wanted, was to talk about different things other than the same thing every time. So there's probably going to be 2 of these every month moving forward. The next one I'm probably going to do is on either setting up your business, your LLC, for your real estate license, or it's going to be on investment properties. One of the two. I haven't figured that out yet, but you guys will know what that's going to look like in the future. And we're going to continue doing these for people that want to attend them, but they're not going to be mandatory. Sarah, you got your hand up?
Yeah, what happened to the phone training 101, because it's like not in my calendar anymore.
Yep, I removed everyone that's been on it before. Will never have to do 101 again. You would just want to tune into 102, which is every other week.
Okay, is there any way I could get put back in the 101? Because I did like just kind of like hearing the script, you know. I know
Yeah.
it's like basic, but it's good for me to like hear it every week
Yeah.
like that.
I can have Alicia put you back on it if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll email her and have her do that for you.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Does anybody else have any other questions or any topics that they want to discuss before we roll out?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Brittany, you got anything for me?
No, I think I'm good for now.
All right. Well, y'all make it a
Thanks.
great evening. Be fun, be safe, and have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon. See you.